Hi guys, it's Emily, and today I'm here to bring you a recent reads video. I finished 3 books this week, so let's just get right into it. The first book I finished was Garlic and Sapphires, The Secret Life of a Critic in Disguise by Ruth Reichl. This I listened to on audio. It's one of the last books I have on Audible. I had a membership for a few months and then I decided to quit it, but I still have 2 audiobooks left, so I've decided I want to get those both listened to. So I started with this one, and this is, like it says on the cover, Ruth Reichl's memoir about disguising herself because she was the restaurant critic for the New York Times in the late 1990s, early 2000s, and so she, every restaurant in town knew what she looked like, and she wanted to write honest reviews that told regular people what kind of experience they were going to have. So each chapter is broken up into a different disguise. She started out dressing up like a supermodel, and then she even dressed up like her mother, and then she dressed up like a really old lady that no one would look at, and then she dressed up as like a really mean lady who would get, good service because she was rude, and it's a really interesting book. And then in between each chapter there's like another vignette about an experience that she had where she was just being herself. Like she had to plan a big Chinese banquet for her boss, and then one time she went on an experience with her kid, and she talked about how that changes your restaurant experience when you have a young child with you. And it's just a really fascinating book. I really enjoyed it. I think I put this on my TBR because of Modern Miss and Darcy again. It had been on my TBR since 2014, so I was really glad I finally got it read. And I definitely recommend this if you're interested in food or learning more about like what a critic's life is like. I really found this interesting because sort of towards the end, Ruth Reichl just talks about how dressing up and disguising herself, especially with the rude lady that's like the last disguise she ever did. And she started to think about how that rude lady was somebody that was like really inside of her, and she started to not like who she was when she was being the restaurant critic for the New York Times. So at the very end of the book, she actually does take another job and moves on. And I think she still has that same job. She's the editor of Gourmet magazine, or at least that's the job she took in this book. So yeah, I really recommend this. Unfortunately, I will say that the audio wasn't like amazing or anything. It was okay, but I don't think, it's like if you don't have this audiobook for free, I don't really recommend it. Buying it, I just bought it because I was trying to use up my credits last year when I quit Audible. But yeah, so it was good, on audio, but it would be the same experience, on reading it in a physical way. But I will say that I'm glad I learned how to say her name. Her name is Ruth Reichl, and I wouldn't have known that if I had just read it in print. But yeah, this was a really interesting book, and I'm glad I finally got it listened to. I then read Practical Magic by Hoffman. I read most of this at work on the computer, but then I finished it up on Thursday night, in this physical copy. This is, you've probably heard of it, or at least seen the movie, the story of 2 sisters, Joanne and Sally, and they're raised by their kind of weird aunts, and it's a magical realism book. The aunts have some kind of ability where they can help people fall in love and fall out of love, and they can do like bad things to people if they want and things like that. And so we start out seeing the girls being raised by these aunts, but then both of them get frustrated, and Joanne runs off and runs away, but Sally gets married to Michael. And both of these girls, because they've seen so many women come to their aunts for help with love, have sort of sworn off love. And Sally, something happens to her husband, and so she also swears off love. And then it talks about how 18 years later or so, the sisters are reunited because Joanne comes back to town and something bad has happened to her, and so she needs Sally's help in covering it up. And then she moves in with Sally in the aftermath of this event, and it's sort of about how they both find themselves again and they rekindle their relationship as sisters. And then at the very end of the book, the aunts return in sort of mysterious circumstances and things like that. And this was good, but I think the movie will be better. Like, for example, a lot of people love the ants in this book, and they go on and on about how the ants are the best characters. But the ants are, like, hardly in this book. Like, this book is the majority of this book is about Julian and Sally and their relationship as sisters, and how they learn to love each other again, and how they learn to, how their relationship changes and things like that, and how they both become better women throughout the book because they reunited. And it was a good book, and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like spectacular or anything. I would like to read the sequel because I think learning more about the ants would help me appreciate them more. I think most of the love for the ants is because in the movie they're like really well played by Stockard Channing, and then the other woman that plays the other aunt. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the movie. I actually tried to go get the movie today, but I couldn't find my library card. The library I currently work at doesn't have the movie, but my hometown library does, and so I was going to go over there. But I can't find my library card, so hopefully I'll find it, and the next weekend I can go get it and watch the movie. But yeah, this was a good book, and if you're looking for a magical realism story, I would highly recommend it. The last book I finished this week, I finished this afternoon, and that was Jane Austen at Home by Lucy Worsley. This is probably the first biography of Jane Austen that I've ever read. I always call myself a Jane Austen fan, but I think I might really be a fan of like the world that's built up around Jane Austen's work, like the fan fiction and the adaptations and things like that, because I've read Pride and Prejudice multiple times, and I've read Persuasion twice, but her other Mansfield Park and Emma and Sensibility I've only read once each, and that was like a lot like back in middle school, and I've never read Northanger Abbey. So really, I don't know if I could truly call myself a Jane Austen fan, but I would like to reread the other three books and also read Northanger Abbey sometime. But anywho, so this is a biography of Jane Austen that's sort of focused around her various homes in her life. She grew up in Stevenson Rectory, which is in Hampshire, and then when her father got older and had to retire, they moved to Bath, and then later they moved to Chawton Cottage after her father died, and then she also, went in various rental houses and then with various relatives because as an unmarried, older woman, she was having to rely on the goodness of her family. And this book was actually really interesting. It talks about her day-to-day life a lot, and then it also talks about, like, money problems. She had a quite extensive family, and so there were several instances in her life when various relatives died, and she and her mother and her sister thought they were going to get some money from these relatives, and then they never did. It either went to her older brother, or it went to some other cousin, or, something happened, so they never got their money like they thought. And so it's really about, like, the realities of Jane Austen's life. And it also talks a lot about how her family, like, after she died, sort of painted this Victorian picture of her and sort of gave this false impression of her personality. But based on, like, research and letters she wrote and things like that, scholars today, including Lucy Worsley, can see that she was, like, a much grittier woman, and she had to work a lot harder than is accurately portrayed in, the glossed over version of her life. So this was a really fascinating book. I learned a lot about Jane Austen and about the time that she, lived, and the impact that her family had on her reputation. And it was just all overall a really great book, and I highly recommend it. I gave it 4 stars because I could definitely see myself rereading this someday. And I wanted to mention that because I've been reading the Jane Austen mysteries, this book was particularly intriguing because, like, she was mentioned different places and different times in Jane's life, and I was like, oh yeah, that's when that happened in the mysteries, and that's when that happened in the mysteries. So I really felt like having read the mystery gave me, like, more of an insight into this book, and now reading the last few that I have for the rest of the year, I'll be keeping this book in mind. So yeah, I highly recommend this book if you have any interest in learning more about Jane Austen's life, or you want to get a more accurate picture of who she was and how she really lived. Just a really great book overall. As for what I'm currently reading, I'm reading A Time of Love and Tartan by Alexander McCall Smith. This is the 12th book in the 44 Scotland Street series. I'm really enjoying this. I've been reading it at work a little bit, but I also have the physical copy, as you can see. So yeah, I'm going to read this over the weekend and probably finish it up. We have a 3-day weekend over here in America, so I'm looking forward to that. And then I just started a brand new Bible study book, Philippians Choosing Joy, which is done by the Love God Greatly group. And I got this for free at a conference last year, and I never got around to doing it. So I'm really looking forward to finishing this up. I've already done the first week, and now I got 3 more weeks to go. But yeah, this is going pretty well too. So yeah, I hope everybody's having a great day and you enjoy your weekend if you have a 3-day weekend. This is going to be going up on Saturday, but I already made my thumbnail and I put the wrong date on it, so the date's wrong. I know it's September 1st, not August 31st. But yeah, I hope everybody's having a great day and see you again soon. Bye.